Okay, hi guys, it's Janae and welcome back to my channel. Sorry I'm late. And also I have a dog here on the bed. You can't see her, but she's here and yeah, it's gonna be an interesting live because I don't know, she's so unpredictable right now and I'm vaguely concerned. Okay, now she's off the bed. We're just gonna see how this goes. But anyway, hi everyone. Hi. Oh my goodness. She still has a lot of energy, but unfortunately I'm the only one available to watch her right now. So she's just having to deal with me. Oh, my camera just moved. I'm gonna have a heart attack. Also, it's very weird because on my side it says the connection is fine, but like when I look at the live, it kind of jumps. I don't know if that's just me or not. I'm hoping it's just me, but I don't think it is. Also, would you guys just mind letting me know if the audio is okay? It should be fine, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, other than that, hi, how are you guys? I hope you're well. If you're new here, my name is Janae, and I do read-alongs live of things like Scum Villian Self-Saving System. So, okay, that's weird. Maybe it's just on my side then, hopefully. Okay, but yeah, let me quickly, while we wait for people to show up, if there are any other people who want to show up, I'm quickly just gonna check what page we are on. So we left off at the bottom of page 144. And yeah, I hope that is more or less it. I have tea here with me, just to help my throat every now and then. And we'll be taking a break at like the hour mark for just 10 minutes so I can just stretch my legs, get new water and things like that. And then we're back again. So I think we can get started. I hope so. Okay. So we left off on Nobingher's dad wondering if they really were, like, if three people were always needed for these kinds of things. Anyway, the trio flew kilometers away, heading straight for the borderlands. Liu Qingge hadn't thought Shen Qingque would bring Luo Binghe as well. What did you grab him for? He snapped. Why are the two of you together? Liu Qingge and Luo Binghe held deep grudges against each other, and Shen Qingque couldn't properly explain within a short amount of time, so he just said vaguely, there are reasons. Wow, very succinct. When Shen Qingque didn't refute them being together, Luo Binghe's eyes brightened and his lips almost curved into a smile. At the sight of him overflowing with joy for no particular reason, Liu Qingge was alarmed and formed a seal with his hand, spiritual energy sparking between his fingers. Shen Qingque, get over here. Luo Binghe's expression changed faster than a flipped page. He had been all tender affection the moment before, but in the next, contempt filled his features, and he tightened his arms around Shen Qingque's waist. Luo Binghe had already been holding him tight, and with this added force, Shen Qingque almost couldn't breathe. He slapped Luo Binghe's hands away before saying, Liu Shidi, it is indeed somewhat complicated. Let's get away first, and I'll take my time to explain it later. Trust me for now. Apparently my parents just arrived and came to collect Juliet, and she seems very happy about that. Okay. Um, sorry, where were we? Let's get away first, and I'll take my time to explain later. Trust me for now. I trust you, said Lord Qingge, but I don't trust him. I trust him, Shen Qingque replied without a moment's hesitation. Yes! Yes, thank you, Shen Qingque. That was a hard-won sentence. Liu Qingge's brows furrowed. And he said harshly, "You trusted him before, and how did that end?" Lo Binghe's faint smile was like needles hidden within cotton floss, his voice neither cold nor warm. "Shizun already said he trusted me. Why are you still wasting your breath? How are you not have you not had enough fighting? Is that how you speak to your Shishu?" said Chen Qingche. Lord Qingge didn't speak much in the first place, so who was wasting his breath? In fact, he didn't say anything further, and instead flung out a spiritual blast. "We're flying at high altitude. Is it fun fighting atop swords? Careful, safety first." That was all Shen Qingche's thoughts. Shen Qingche veered slightly off course, but though Lo Binghe should have dodged the blow with this, he let out a muffled groan behind him. Shen Qingche turned. "What is it?" Had he really been hit? Lo Binghe shook his head. "I'm fine, it doesn't hurt." Reasonably speaking, even if Lo Binghe had been hit, it shouldn't be a big deal. Shen Qingche looked him over carefully and noticed that, in fact, a bit of black chi had gathered at the acupoint below, between his brows. He muttered, "You don't look so good." "After the fight, I was a bit dizzy, and now I'm dizzier," Lo Binghe said softly, his voice weak. "But it's nothing really, just a spiritual blast." I don't trust that. I don't trust that at all. And now I'm also wondering, like, theoretically, if one heavenly demon was fed another heavenly demon's blood, would it have any effect? Like, would they be able to inflict the same amount of pain on the other person that they would on a cultivator? This might have already been addressed, but I can't remember. Liu Qingge's urge to face Lo Binghe in a bloody battle to the last grew and grew. How many times had they fought? And now one spiritual blast had him dizzy? Shen Jingche moved aside. Shen Jingche sent him an apologetic smile. "Liu Shidi, he was injured earlier and has only just healed. You mustn't stoop to his level. He doesn't know better. If he offended you, I'll apologize for him." There was a dark look on Liu Qingge's face. He made a lot of mistakes before, but he won't from now on. Wow, that's quite a promise to make. Shen Qingche continued. "I will definitely discipline him properly." Liu Qingge's face finally turned pale. "You really trust him?" Shen Qingche felt a bit guilty. Lo Binghe was still hugging him around the waist with that anxious expression on his face, like he was waiting for Shen Qingche's reply. To be honest, he had never genuinely trusted Lo Binghe before, and that was why he had kept accidentally hurting him. With the way things were now, I would rather believe I can than prematurely determine that I cannot, he said. In a household with children who didn't know better, the adults never had it easy. After offering up apologetic explanations, Shen Qingche turned to compliments. "After being apart these many days, it seems that Liu Shidi's cultivation has advanced again." Liu Qingge lifted his chin. "I just exited seclusion." When Lo Binghe had launched a siege upon Zhangchong Mountain, Liu Qingge had told him, "Just you wait." Following this, he had indeed gone to cultivate in seclusion. After leaving, he had gone directly to rescue Shen Jingche. Shen Jingche rubbed his nose, feeling that simple thank you seemed insufficient. "How did you know to come to the southern border to find me?" After Liu Qingge left seclusion, he had rushed at top speed to Lo Binghe's territory on the Demon Realm's northern border and slaughtered his way in, nearly overturning the whole place, only to find that Shen Jingche was not there. Lo Binghe wasn't there either, having apparently rushed by to give a few instructions before immediately leaving. Liu Qinghe had subsequently caught that demoness called Sha whatever. I love that. Sha whatever. Oh my word. To interrogate her. However, Baijiang Peak's interrogation methods simply involve beating up the subject, and at the very most involve beating them up to different degrees. So advanced. Of course, Great Master Liu had some difficulties beating up a woman, and Xia Hualing was also a very difficult woman to deal with, so he hadn't extracted anything from her. Fortunately, he had then run into Xiang Qinghua, who had nothing to do beyond eating his fill and wandering around in boredom all day. Liu Qinghe had absolutely no reservations about that guy, but as soon as he raised his fist, Xia Qing... Hmm? Okay, I'm not mistaken, there is a typo. Xiang Qinghua spilled everything in an unceasing flood, including what Shen Qingque's diet in the demon realm was like, his daily diversions, and the vital information about how Shen Qingque had been taken to the southern border. After he'd squeezed this out of him, Liu Qingge had planned to execute the traitor on the spot. He hadn't anticipated that as Shang Qinghua hugged his thighs and wailed like a banshee, swearing over and over that he had no choice, that he would turn over a new leaf, his cries would draw Mo Beijun's attention. Liu Qingge and Mo Beijun had subsequently fought, collapsing nearly half of Luo Binghe's underground palace, and this had cost Liu Qingge some time. Ah, yeesh. I feel like if Luo Binghe has the protagonist's halo, then Shang Qinghua has the author's halo, which is like you can't kill the author of the original work, so he just magically survives. This violent path, full of ups and downs, was the one great Master Liu had trod over the past few days. Going to such effort and trouble, Liu Qingge was truly more reliable than a blood brother. After Shen Qingque expressed his overwhelming gratitude in his reserved manner, he swapped to a serious tone and changed the topic. Liu Shidi, I have business I must discuss with you. Speak. Do you know of Tianlang Jun? To the people of the cultivation world, this name was legendary. Years ago, the four major sects had emptied their halls for that battle in which Tianlangjun had been sealed beneath Bailu Mountain. Though the forces of Tangchung Mountain had been one of the main participants, the ones who had actually went to battle were the previous generation of peak lords. Of the current peak lords, only Yu Qingyan had participated in that battle. As the head disciple of Chongding Peak, with Shen Su his talent had shown, and he had played a key part. Of course he had. He's glorious. I love him so much. Of course, Liu Qingge was not ignorant of this. The previous saintly ruler of the demon race, his physical body was destroyed 7 or 8 years ago. That his physical body was destroyed does not necessarily mean he died, said Shen Qingque. He might have shed his shell and escaped. Liu Qingge raised an eyebrow. Like you? Feeling guilty, Shen Qingque coughed. Exactly. Liu Qingge didn't pursue the topic, so he escaped. And then? Tianlanjun plans to merge the demon and human realms. You mean he plans to attack the human realm? Shen Qingque had known that most people would easily confuse these concepts. When you said merge, many people would assume you meant unite, but that actually wasn't the case. What Tianlanjun planned to do with Shinmo was the literal kind of merge. The demon and human realms were like two halves of the same sheet of paper, existing in two different dimensions. If you drew a line on one side of the paper, now no matter how you extended it, you wouldn't end up on the other side. But Shinmo could pierce the two sides of the sheet and render them one surface. That is a terrifying thought. Let's offer an example. The human realm mainland had a river called the Law, and the demon realm had the Maigu Ridge. These two places were located in different dimensions, but in the original work, after Luo Binghe used Shinmo as a key to merge the two realms, Maigu Ridge was patched into the center of the Law River and became an isolated island. After receiving this simple explanation, Liu Qingge furrowed his brow. Such a thing is really possible? Of course. The original Luo Binghe succeeded at it. Shen Qingque nodded gravely. Liu Qingge thought, then said, "This will have serious consequences. You'll need more evidence to convince the sect leaders." If evidence was what he needed, he really didn't have anything. Shen Qingque was starting to get a headache when Luo Binghe, who had gone quiet for a while, suddenly spoke. "Why doesn't Shizun ask me?" "In what way, Luo Binghe?" Liu Qingge replied before Shen Qingque could with it. There were plenty of reasons for that. Luo Binghe had demon blood, and he had long since dropped all pretenses with the sects. He was infamous across the land, and he had turned Huanhua Palace into a straight-up heretic cult. Though its power had not weakened but grown under his hand, the other great sects had exiled the palace from their ranks, and its status as a renowned righteous sect was truly only a name. Of course, in that case, loving her could be of no help, so there possibly wasn't any reason to ask him. Though Shen Qingque understood this in his heart, he couldn't say so that too frankly. He didn't know whether Luo Binghe's fragile glass heart would subsequently shatter. He let out a few awkward laughs, but before he finished, a small bit of extra weight suddenly pressed against his back. Luo Binghe's head leaned lightly on his left shoulder. Oh, that's kind of cute. Shen Qingque thought he was just acting cute again. Oh, wait, is he unconscious? And tried to shake him off, but when he looked closer, Luo Binghe's eyes were closed in a peaceful sleep. He had fallen asleep while standing. "Weren't you chattering perfectly fine just now?" Shen Qingque reached behind him and took a firm hold of Luo Binghe's arm to keep him from falling off the sword. "Luo Binghe," he called quietly. No reaction. After a pause, Shen Qingque used a lowered, quiet voice. "Binghe?" Only after being called twice did he slowly open his eyes. At the sight of his unfocused gaze, Shen Qingque couldn't risk asking, "Are you really that tired?" It was only a few days since the Holy Mausoleum, and even if the wounds Luo Binghe had suffered had healed quickly, they had likely left some lingering effects. Passing out now and then couldn't be considered surprising. Luo Binghe shook his head. "I'm not." Shen Qingque thought it over, then turned towards Liu Qingge, who was watching them with crossed arms and a cold gaze. "Liu Shidi, after we cross the borderlands, why don't you go on ahead? Go back to Tangchong Mountain and summon the sects for a discussion with Zhengmen Xishong and the others." Liu Qingge's eyes widened slightly. "And you?" "I may be a bit late," Shen Qingque said, with Luo Binghe like this. "Oh, wait, no, he said, with Binghe. We are now fully just on first name basis." "Okay." "With Binghe like this, the way I see it, it would be best to rest a bit before we continue." Liu Qingge drew a deep breath. "I came to bring you back." Shen Qingque hesitated, while Luo Binghe didn't say a word and only kept his head down, looking extremely docile. "Just one night," said Shen Qingque. Liu Qingge looked at Luo Binghe tucked behind Shen Qingque's back and snapped, "Not even a night." Then what could he do? After another 2 hours, the trio crossed the borderlands and stopped before the largest inn in the city. The city was far from the central plains. There were plenty of local miscellaneous sects, but such spirited and handsome personages with such lofty, awe-inspiring immortal demeanors were rarely seen, and 3 of them had shown up at once, each more handsome than the last. Quite a few people paused to observe. Liu Qingge lifted his chin and strode forward in long steps, Cheng Lian in hand, leading the way across the threshold. The main hall was luxurious, spacious and bright, and a host immediately appeared to greet them. "Liu Shidi, you're really going to stay with us?" asked Shen Qingque. He'd always had the feeling that Lo Chinga was the type to place himself above the troubles of the mortal world, who didn't need sleep at all. And even if he did sleep, he would do so on a spirit platform veiled by lingering clouds. Oh goodness. Liu Chunge crossed his arms, sword in hand, and said icily, I'm concerned. When he looked up, he just managed to catch Lo Binghe's silently scoffing behind Cheng Qingque. Then Lo Binghe's gaze slid sideways, a disdainful smile on his lips, his gaze overflowing with malice. Enraged, the veins on the hand with which Lord Chingue held Cheng Lian began to pop. At the sight of this, Shen Qingque hurriedly said, If you have something to say, just say it. Don't get angry. Then he looked back, only to see Liu Qingge giving him an innocent blink, his lips still pale. Good customers, are you here to stay the night? The host said with a smile. Liu Qingge ignored the host, and Luo Binghe looked like he would fall over at any minute. So Shen Qingque could only take charge of the exchange himself. That's right, he said. How many rooms? 3, said Shen Qingque. 2 rooms, said Luo Binghe. I kind of love that he's manufacturing the there was only one room thing for himself because he knows that it's not gonna happen naturally. Liu Qingge stopped just shy of writing a wolf's treacherous ambition deserves both hatred and execution on his own face. 2 rooms, please, Luo Binghe repeated pleasantly. Thank you. 3 rooms, said Liu Qingge. Luo Binghe smiled. May I ask who's paying? Both Shen Qingque and Liu Qingge froze. Kind of fair. I mean, I don't trust Luo her to have done this for purely frugal reasons, but fair. There was no need to suggest Shen Qingque. He had just escaped a monster's lair. Sorry, a demon's lair. Why would he have something like money? Liu Qingge was even more out of the question. This sort of great master, who was above the troubles of the mortal world, who had slaughtered his whole way here, would never have remembered to bring cash with him. It's me, Luo Binghe said deliberately, and I didn't bring enough money, so 2 rooms. Mm-hmm. Usually, don't bicker with him, said Shen Qingque. There was no telling whether Luo Binghe had done this on purpose. By now, Shen Qingque really didn't dare to assume. If money was the issue, there truly was no other way to resolve it. If they didn't have the funds, they couldn't just pawn off Xia or Cheng Lian, could they? No, you very much couldn't. After retrieving the token from their rooms, Liu Qingge led the way upstairs as Shen Qingque walked in the middle. He turned and said helplessly, If you anger your shushu again, next time I'm selling you for money. Luo Binghe looked up. Shizun, you're always so merciless with me. Ahead of them, Liu Qingge turned back and wrinkled his nose, looking like he wanted to hack these 2 degenerates to death, filled with enough disgust to bury one on a mountain peak and the other at the bottom of the ocean. Oh goodness, is Liu Qingge just a little bit of a drama queen secretly? The 2 rooms were right next to each other, and the distribution of occupants was a serious problem. Liu Qingge had his own considerations. Luo Binghe's character and actions were uniformly bizarre, and an evil hung about him. He had embraced a corpse for 5 years, and now Luo Binghe was standing before him in the flesh. Could he just let him have his way? Sparks seemed to crackle through the air. Calm and unruffled, Shen Qingque opened the door, turned and closed it behind him. Then he suddenly opened it a crack and said solemnly, Well, you 2, get some rest. The sparks froze to ice. What a boss move, Shen Qingque, oh my goodness. Hey, said Liu Qingge. The space between Luo Binghe's brows practically darkened into a black cloud. Shizun, he'll kill me. Shen Qingqi raised a finger at Liu Qingge. Go ahead and fight, just don't kill him. Yeah, right. Like he dare share a room with Luo Binghe. A straight man and a gay one staying in the same room? That was just asking for death. I mean, nah. I would actually say the opposite. I would say that if you're two straight men or two gay men, it might be asking for a little death. Anyway, um, yes, Shen Jingqi insisted he was still straight. His willingness to read a study a novel like Proud Immortal Demon Away was rock solid proof. Fair. Nor did he dare to share a room with Liu Qingge. Though Great Master Liu was the Changcheng Mountains' #1 straight man across all space and time, so straight it was evident to all the heavens and earth. His straightness as certain as fact as the light of the sun and the moon. If the demonic vinegar vat that was Liu Binghe overturned his sour contents, he would be even harder to deal with. For the above reasons, Shen Jingqi happily said, then it's decided. Okay, but just a quick question, Shen Jingqi. Even though I'm not on the shipping boat, I'm not on the ship, there we go, that's the normal way to say it. I'm not on the ship of Liu Jingge and Shen Jingqi, but even though I'm not there, wasn't Luo Binghe also the straightest man you had ever come across? Until you came across him? Just food for thought. I was about to weep. Shizun, how can you bear to do this? Shen Jingqi chuckled and resolutely closed the door, leaving the other two petrified in the corridor, charred without and tender within. He had decided to find some place to rest because Luo Binghe looked tired and weak, but looking at him now, didn't he seem quite healthy? He'd worried for nothing. After bathing, Shen Jingqi changed into a clean inner robe. Bored and with nothing to do, he spotted a few small thin booklets stacked on the lower table. Each had gaudy covers, and he couldn't read the titles, but they were marked with numbers like 1, 2, and 3, so he pulled one out and leaned back against the headboard to read. I don't trust this at all. I'm kind of expecting it to be something saucy. Yeah, reading a stallion novel is total proof, especially when all you do with its um Harry Potter's criticism. Oh, that was a good burn though. And also, like, the only other thing he really does while reading the stallion novel is admire Luo Binghe. So totally straight, definitely, definitely. Um, Skimming through the lines 10 at a time, he found the text full of ornate prose and sentimental descriptions, and it even came with exquisite illustrations. Chen Jingqi was about to take a closer look when the long-absent system notification came chirping at him. Oh, great. Hello, notification number 1, satisfaction point exceeding threshold. Drop conditions for key item achieved. Please prepare to receive. If the item is not withdrawn during the drop period, it will expire. A key item? The fake jade Gunyan that could reduce up to 5,000 anger points? Shen Jingqi tossed the booklet in his hands aside. Wait a minute, satisfaction points exceeding threshold. Drop conditions achieved for key item. Drop conditions achieved for key item achieved. That is not making sense. I'm just gonna skim past it. Are you saying that before, as I hadn't reached a certain amount of satisfaction points, the key item wasn't even usable? Correct. Then what the hell had been the point of asking him whether he wanted to use it before? If he activated it without having met the prerequisite conditions, wouldn't he have had to use the small scenario pusher anyway? And there wasn't really a use for the item anymore, was there? Shen Qingque sincerely believes that henceforth, even if he didn't get gay with Luo Binghe, as long as he didn't get gay with anyone else, the protagonist's anger points wouldn't explode. Never say never, but what a weird way to word it. Even if he shoved Luo Binghe to the ground and tried to beat him to death, the only point value that would increase would be his satisfaction. At least he's finally starting to understand Luo Binghe. Notification number 2. High energy ahead. An important quest is about to appear at Zhao Hua Monastery. Please be prepared to accept. Have a good one. Version 2.0 even came with high energy ahead notifications. Come to think of it, Luo Binghe had occasionally been exceedingly intimate with Shen Qingque, but his satisfaction points had never increased. Shen Qingque had been confused by this. This wasn't him being narcissistic, it was just that with Luo Binghe's sorry tendency of raking in satisfaction points from every single glare, scolding, or beating, it really was unscientific that they hadn't doubled by now. Had Shen Qingque just failed to hear or otherwise missed the notifications? When he opened the system's database, the satisfaction points really hadn't increased by much. When he asked about this, the system said because the satisfaction points value has recently increased with excessive frequency, satisfaction points will be calculated monthly in order to conserve system resources. Have a good one. Well, I guess that's good news. Calculated monthly? Shen Qingque had a premonition that it would be a terrifying number. He was just about to ponder whether any important plot points occurred at Zhao Hua Monastery around the time when someone lightly knocked on his door. Great. I'm not stressed at all. That's very weird. I plugged in my laptop, but I'm only now noticing that it hasn't actually been charging. So let me just quickly figure out what's going on there. I don't want my laptop to die in the middle of the live, and I don't think it's going to be able to hold on for another half an hour. Okay, sorry about that. And think of sexy female characters in the context of, oh, that's the wife of Luo Binghe, who is the most badass and handsome. Yeah, no, he's very straight, guys, obviously. Okay, chapter 18, Origins. That sounds interesting, and I'm kind of low-key hoping that we'll maybe get the origins of Shen Qingque, because that's kind of been hinted at, but maybe it's too soon. Shen Qingque's first assumption was that it was definitely Luo Binghe, but when the newcomer walked in, he realized that he had overestimated himself this time. The one who walked in was actually Liu Qingge. Didn't Liu Qingge always prefer to walk straight in over the door after kicking it down? Since when had he learned to knock? In any case, the straight man could be allowed to come inside. I wonder how hard this is gonna come back to bite him in the ass. The fact that he just assumes that Liu Qingge is straight. Chen Qingque stepped aside to let him pass, closing the door, and asked, "Why has Liu Shidi come calling in the middle of the night? Where is Luo Binghe?" Liu Qingge's face was stony. "I don't know." His expression said clearly that he'd rather sleep on the roof than share a room with the little beast. Shen Qingque internally rolled with laughter. Liu Qingge shot him a glare, then reached into his lapels, pulled something out, and tossed it to him. Shen Qingque caught it and saw that it was one of the old folding fans he had left in Qingjing Peak's bamboo house Oh, I've been missing him with his fans. This is good. Shen Qingque couldn't resist the urge to spread it with a sharp swish, and the resulting cool breeze immediately made him feel more lively and refreshed. A folding fan really was a deadly weapon when it came to acting badass. You could feel his beat points explosively surging by the second. Oh goodness. Moved, he said, "Shidi, to think you remembered to bring this for Shishong." But of course, Liu Jingge wasn't here just to give him a fan. He picked a stool and sat on it, ramrod straight, placing only one arm on the table. "I have something to say to you." Affected by his mood, Shen Qingque also grew serious and straightened his back. "Exactly what is up with you and Luo Binghe?" asked Liu Jingge. The Baijiang lord definitely wasn't asking this because he was looking to gossip. Shen Qingque considered his wording for a moment, then said sincerely, "I'm not sure myself. By the time I realized it, things had already become as they are." "You sincerely believe he'd change his ways?" "It's not so much that he's changed his ways, as that I seem to have misunderstood him from the start." Liu Jingge sneered. "Misunderstood? He forced you to self-detonate, tormented Huanhua Palace, laid siege to Tangchung Mountain, burned and smashed Chongding Hall, and injured Jiang Min Shishong. Were these all misunderstandings?" Upon hearing the last part, Shen Jingque immediately asked, "Is Jiang Min Shishong alright? He looked to be injured last time. Has Mu Shidi treated him? Was it really Luo Binghe who did it?" "Who else could it have been?" Liu Jingge spat. "Are you still looking for excuses for him? You've lost your senses." No, he wasn't looking for excuses for Luo Binghe. Rather, he was genuinely unsure as to whether Luo Binghe could injure Yu Qingyan so easily. It must be known that Luo Binghe and Yu Qingyan had fought head-to-head several times in Proud Immortal Demon Way, and not once had Luo Binghe gotten the better of the sect leader. In the end, he had needed to use the original flavor Shen Jingque to drive that sect leader to his horrific death, pierced through by thousands of arrows. Damn, that is, very grim. Come to think of it, in both the original work and in this world, Liu Xunyan truly treated Shen Jingque unusually well. Shen Jingque had been perplexed by this since early in the novel. Why did the great leader of a righteous sect bestow such favor on a scum villain of all people? Were there undiscovered hidden depths in this relationship? Would it be one of his plot hole filling possibilities? Okay, so we are actually addressing this. I'm quite excited. Shen Jingque lowered his head, deep in thought, but Liu Jingge thought he was expressing shame after the scolding, and his face relaxed, his tone no longer so severe. "None of our comrades understand. Why are you so good to him?" Liu Jingge leaned forward just a bit, and the candlelight painted a layer of warmth over his snow-pale face. Tense, he asked, "Or to say, are those rumors true?" The Shen Jingque who had believed great master Liu would scoff and turn up his nose at gossip was far too sweet and innocent. Shen Jingque's hand clenched around his fan. "So Liu Shidi also believes that baseless hearsay?" Liu Jingge straightened again. "I don't. Yet you only seem to care. Yet you only care to blindly defend that traitor." "I'm not blindly defending him," Shen Qingque said helplessly. "I just don't want to misunderstand him again." "I don't understand," Liu Jingge said coldly. "Either way, mountains may crumble and rivers may shift, but fundamental nature is difficult to change. Luo Binghe is no good news. You'd better look out for yourself." After he finished, he got up and made to leave. Of course, Shen Qingque too knew that Luo Binghe was no good news, but as But at present he couldn't be certain that he was wicked either. It was still a headache. Meanwhile, as Liu Chinge was about to walk out the door, he passed that low table and glanced down. His steps slipped out from under him, as if he'd spotted something extraordinary. Shen Qingque looked up. As Liu Chinge still hadn't left, he sensed that something was off. "What is it?" Liu Chinge stiffly turned his head and looked him up and down with the complicated gaze of someone seeing something entirely new. After a while, he shook his head, and only then did he open the door to leave. Within the short couple of steps, he seemed to even trip over the threshold. No. What exactly is it? Shen Qingque snoozed away soundly all night. You didn't check? Like, you saw him see something and you didn't think to check? Oh my word, okay. Shen Qingque snoozed away soundly all night. The next morning, half dreaming and half awake, he sensed someone else in the room. This person's steps and movements both were incredibly light. When Shen Qingque opened his eyes, he immediately froze. The only one who'd be interested in slipping into his room first thing in the morning was obviously Luo Binghe, but it was a very different Luo Binghe. He had changed into a set of white robes, and his dark hair was neatly bound with a light-colored ribbon. Furthermore, he was hurrying about the room with a relaxed and contented expression. I'm immediately suspicious. His current attire and appearance was exactly identical to Luo Binghe from before the Immortal Alliance conference. This part is scratched out. Model of flawless and pure discipline. The model of a flawless and pure disciple of a major sect, the image of pretty, diligent, and competent young wife. So straight, guys. So incredibly straight. It really, really was. Luo Binghe turned. At the sight of Shen Qingque propping himself up on one arm, he reached out a hand and said, all smiles, "Shizun is awake? Breakfast is on the table." Shen Qingque put a hand on his forehead, but his body reacted by itself to take Luo Binghe's hand and get off the bed. If he had to blame something, it would be that the scene before him was precisely the standard service he had received every morning back on Qingjing Peak in days long past. The whole breadth of morning activities, getting up, getting dressed, washing, doing his hair, serving the meal, eating, was all naturally done under the auspice of Luo Binghe's mindful service. If the setting was changed to Qingjing Peak's bamboo house, he really would have had the terrifying misconception that time was flowing backward. This isn't breakfast. Oh goodness, why am I struggling so much now? This inn's breakfast is frankly unpalatable, said Luo Binghe. Shizun will have to settle. If it was to be compared with Luo Binghe's handiwork, then this critique was very objective. Shen Qingque asked, Where is your Shishu? I don't know, said Luo Binghe with a smile. Whenever one of these two mentioned the other, it was with these blunt and simple 3 words. Shen Qingque pretty much got the idea. There was no point in asking. In a flash, Luo Binghe had gone to make his bed. The devil incarnate making his bed. This was too fantastical a vision. Shen Qingque didn't dare watch. Out of nowhere, Luo Binghe spoke again. But if Shizun is allowing me to call Liu Qingge Shishu, that means he still acknowledges me as a disciple of Qingjing Peak. That very much is a thing. Duh. How many times have you chased me around calling me Shizun this, Shizun that? Since when has this master said you are no longer his disciple? Asked Shen Qingque. I thought Shizun had tacitly driven me from the sect long ago, said Luo Binghe as he folded the sheets. I always chased after you, calling you Shizun, But in fact, I was deeply afraid that it was just my one-sided wishful thinking. Shen Qingque couldn't take it anymore. He covered his face. Have some backbone, won't you? Bingo! We just got our first bingo, I think. Or like the first one in forever. I feel like if there has been a bingo before, it was maybe somewhere in the start of the novel when Shen Qingque was still viewing him as only a character. I'm not sure. You're the top-shelf stallion protagonist who once stood before his harem, oppressive presence overflowing as he coolly declared things like, I do have this many women, and there's only going to be more. Deal with it or get lost. I don't like that version of loving her. Who exactly is this pure-hearted young man who serves tea, carries water, washes clothes, and folds blankets for someone who bashfully speaks only when his back is turned? Huh? Who's possessing your body? Shen Qingque finally had another opportunity to lecture his disciple. He drank a mouthful of tea, then said, It's very good that you think this way. Since you know you're still a disciple of Qingjing Peak, then you must not be as disrespectful as you have been to all your Shishu and Shibu, especially when we return to Tangchong Mountain today. You must give a proper apology for laying siege to the mountain and ruining the hall last time you were there. I don't think they're going to be as forgiving as you are, Shen Qingque. Of course, he didn't mean only a verbal apology. Loving would definitely have to pay the original construction cost for all the public facilities he had destroyed as compensation. This would be the bare minimum to demonstrate sincerity. Loving whisked away the breakfast dishes as he carelessly said, There's no need to return to Tangchong Mountain today. Said Shen Qingque. What did you say? I said if she didn't really want to see all those Shishu and Shibu, we don't need to return to Tangchong Mountain. We can change direction and head straight to Zhaohua Monastery. When the three words Zhaohua Monastery left Lobingher's mouth, the system sent a notification. Zhaohua Monastery quest officially issued. Issuer, Lobingher, please select whether to accept. The quest issuer was actually Lobingher himself. Shen Qingque squinted. How do you know? Won't Shizun know if he goes? Asked Lobingher. Meanwhile, Liu Shishu still hasn't returned. Right after the words left his mouth, Liu Qingge arrived, kicking the door open with a bang. Back to his usual entryway, I see. The door fell flat onto the ground, but Shen Qingque actually felt that this was the style and entrance method that Liu Qingge should normally have, so his expression didn't so much as flicker. Liu Qingge didn't spare Lobingher even a slight glance as he said to Shen Qingque, Change of plans, we're not returning to Tangchong Mountain today. We're going to Zhaohua Monastery. Shen Qingque stood. Did something happen? Something happened, Liu Qingge echoed gravely. The news came after midnight last night. Today, the leaders of many sects are going to Zhaohua Monastery on their invitation to discuss. Tangchong Mountain sect is included. The cultivator families of this city have already been made preparations and departed. Or maybe Lobingher knows because a request came to him as well, or something like that. Though how they would know where to find him is a different question altogether. On the way to Zhaohua Monastery, they passed by Jingnan City. It had been a few years, and who knew what this once prosperous merchant capital looked like now after that calamity. If they hadn't been in such a hurry, Shen Qingque would definitely have flown through the thick layer of clouds to take a look. Not long after passing Jinnan City, they arrived at Zhaohua Monastery. The treasured monastery was dignified and stately, seated halfway up a verdant ancient mountain. This originally quiet and secluded old monastery was now a boiling cauldron of voices and darting silhouettes, and an unceasing parade of flying swords and information poured in and out of the mountainside. The trio stopped at the bottom of the flight of stone stairs leading to the Hall of Great Strength. "Come with me to see Zhang Men Shishong," Liu Qingge said to Shen Jingque. Shen Jingque was just about to nod when Luo Binghe also walked up to them. His status was special, and this was a rather sensitive situation. So Shen Jingque said, "Go lie low for a bit. Don't give these sect leaders the chance to point their spears at you." "If they want to point, they can," said Luo Binghe, uncaring. "Of course I will go with Shizun." Once again he was refusing to listen. If Shen Jingque really let him follow along and he was recognized, it would be a great deal of unnecessary trouble. "Liu Shidi, you go first, I'll come later," said Shen Jingque. Liu Qingge gave them a cold look before he flew up the stairs, heading off to rendezvous with Tangchong Mountain. As long as he intentionally restrained his presence and adjusted his expression, Liu Qingge could make himself look harmless. Amidst the jostling crowd, he managed to appear to be good, upright youth, albeit one with a somewhat excessively good-looking face, which made it difficult to avoid drawing attention. As for Shen Jingque, aside from his one rather unfortunate appearance in Jinnan City, he had been buried in the ground and not shown his face for years, so the chance of him being recognized was even smaller. I don't know, your guys' luck is not good enough for me to believe this. The area outside the hall, as well as the plaza, were packed with rings and rings of people, forming a human wall. Before, the most numerous and arrogant among them would definitely have been the disciples of Huanhua Palace, but now that Huanhua Palace had become a heretic cult in all but name, they were naturally excluded. They hadn't received an invitation in the first place. Okay, that answers that. And not a single one of them was to be seen. Several of Zhaohua Monastery's abbots presided over the occasion from the center of the Hall of Great Strength. Even Master Wu Chen was among them. Only when Shen Jingque looked closer did he discover that both of the man's lower legs were wooden prosthetics, which allowed him to stand and walk as he once had. Tangchong Mountain sect, with Yu Qingyan at its head, sat to the side of the hall, watching with solemn and respectful gazes. Liu Qingge had just arrived to stand behind Yu Qingyan and leaned down to whisper a few words in his ear. Yu Qingyan's expression stirred, and he inclined his head slightly, looking all around. Beside Master Wu Chen was the head of Zhaohua Monastery, Abbot Wu Wang. The old monk, beard and brows peppered with white, pressed his palms together, his low, deep voice echoing throughout the hall loud and clear. "This old monk will ask outright, all who are present, how many of you had the same dream last night?" Dream? Needless to say, this was Luo Binghe's doing. Said perpetrator whispered in Shen Jingque's ear, "Wasn't Shizun fretting about not having evidence? You don't need to worry anymore now, do you?" That is actually so clever. Like, that's a big problem, but that is so clever. Oh, goodness, sorry. No wonder Luo Binghe had fallen asleep for a moment on Xiang. To think Shen Jingque had even thought he was running out of energy. Turned out that, at that time, he was actually activating his dream powers. Luo Binghe's eyes brimmed with "compliments, please," and "head pats, please." However, Shen Jingque was coming down with a headache, wondering what exactly Luo Binghe had crafted in the dream he distributed. How had he communicated a situation so dire that all these people would scurry to Zhaohua Monastery for this serious discussion. Master Wu Chen said politely, "May we ask the sect leader, what is your cultivation level?" "Late core formation." The two abbots looked at each other, and quite a few people began to quietly cough. That is so rude of them, oh my word. Amidst the silence, Master Wu Chen was the only one to hint at what was going unsaid. "Then, that is strange. Within our monastery, everyone with cultivation from core formation and up had the same dream." What he hadn't said was that if this fellow really was at late core formation, by all rights he should have had the dream too. A chorus of agreements came from below. "That's right. All the members of our sect below core formation were likewise unaffected last night." Damn, just calling him out like that. Lying about your cultivation to everyone's face and being exposed on the spot, this really was lifting a stone and dropping it on your own foot. I still can't help but feel bad for him though. I understand that he shouldn't have lied, but damn. However, although that Shishong's cultivation hadn't advanced much, his face had grown much thicker. He wasn't the least bit embarrassed, and instead said in a loud voice, "There are exceptions to every rule. Just tell us, exactly what was the dream?" This Bachi sect had such a tyrannical name, yet they were actually without a single core formation cultivator. Otherwise, he wouldn't need to ask about it in front of such an audience. It looked like this guy wasn't here because he'd been invited to the discussion, but simply to get in on the action and make himself known. Wu Wang furrowed his brow, but Master Wu Chen was a good-natured person, and he patiently explained the general outline. The contents of the dream were that Tianlan Jun, who had been sealed under Bai Lu Mountain, had recrafted a corporal body to unleash a storm of carnage. Though Master Wu Chen was elegant in his way of words and metaphors, and had redacted some of the contents, was loving his tastes, the storm of carnage he spoke of would absolutely not have been limited to simple killings and beatings. The monk had definitely left out some heavier types of play. Ooh, that implication though. Okay, I am gonna take my 10-minute break now because I can feel my voice going a little bit hoarse. So we shall be back again at 11 past. Okay, I'm back. I hope the audio is still okay. Let's just see. Okay. Yes. I don't know why my voice is feeling so tired today, but I got some new fluids to hopefully help with that. Okay. So, in case anyone closed their books while we have a 10-minute break, we were at the top of page 170 for anyone who wants to read along. So, um, wait, hold on, were we? Okay, no, we were. If one or two people had the same dream, one could call it an oddity, said Wu Wang. But if several hundred people have the same dream at the same time, even calling it miraculous would not explain it away. In addition, this dream was no ordinary sort. It was incredibly realistic, and upon waking, one felt that even the waking world was not as real as that of the dream. All the cultivators present who had reached core formation or greater empathized with this description, their hearts still palpitating at the memory, and they all nodded in agreement. Why was this Tianlangjin sealed? One person asked, confused. If he really was so horrific, how was he overcome last time? Master Wu Chen sighed. The tale truly is an injustice. If the palace master of Huanhua Palace were here today, who knows how greatly he would lament. The palace master of Huanhua Palace? A woman said, surprised. What does this have to do with Luo Binghe? Her voice was clear, crisp, and charming, melodious like a warbling song, and Shen Jingque turned to look at the sound. The one who spoke was a slender and beautiful Taoist nun from Tianyi Temple. Oh, is this one of the ones who was supposed to be part of his harem originally? Shen Qingque couldn't tell exactly which one she was, because there was three Taoist nuns who looked like they had been carved from the same mold, from their faces to their features and attire. Standing together, they looked like three bright and lovely blue flowers. Even their faces wore identical expressions of strange, unspeakable excitement. That's right, it was definitely excitement. The triplet sisters from the original Binger's harem. Long time no see, harem members. Mm-hmm. I thought I hadn't misremembered. Before Shinjinqie would definitely have been beyond himself with excitement. Then he would have begun envisioning the passage to follow, where the protagonist bedded his woman, all while hypocritically roasting airplane shooting towards the sky. But now, also now that we're talking about like lobbing her bedding people, it's very interesting that you're so oopsie, sorry about that. So keen about that, like considering you now see him as an as an actual person, not just a character, it is very funny that you seem very obsessed with him betting people. Exactly what I said, lol. Mm-hmm. Oh goodness. Okay. Her lowered his voice to its quietest, but the sourness in his tone wafted as far as 10 kilometers away. Shizun, are they pretty? Oh no, like the fact that they're misreading each other so much. Well, okay, I wouldn't say Shen Qingqi is necessarily misreading Her right now, but Her is definitely misreading the situation. Yeah, no. um, forget it. Shen Qingqi looked back away. The plot had been changed into something unrecognizable, and those three Taoist nuns hadn't become Lo Binghe's extrication vessels. At this time, they shouldn't have been acquainted with Lo Binghe, yet they still showed interest in news about him. Shen Jingque automatically assumed the excitement on their faces was the first stirrings of affection. Lo Binghe's stallion powers was still going strong. Say that, but like the Buddhist greeting that they always say, they're saying it now. I struggle to pronounce it. The palace master I speak of is the previous one, said Master Wu Wang. That Lo Binghe merely used underhanded methods to usurp the seat of leadership. By what merits has he earned recognition as palace master from the masses? Lo Binghe raised his eyebrow and twisted his lips in disdain. Master Wu Wang continued, but indeed, the real story cannot escape association with Huanhua Palace. Tens of years ago, the head disciple under the old palace master's tutelage was named Su Shiyan. Oh, damn! I thought we were getting backstory about Shen Qingqi, but no, it's backstory about Luo Binghe. Okay. Shen Qingqi's spirits picked up at this. At this rate, they were about to unravel the riddle of Luo Binghe's origins. This woman had unparalleled talent, as was keen and intelligent, and was decisive in her actions, with a lordly presence. Okay, but then also, uh, isn't that maybe gonna like destroy Luo Binghe if he finds out about his parents? Sorry, why is this page? There we go. The old palace master especially loved and valued this direct disciple of his, and he saw her as the apple of his eye. The entire sect tacitly recognized her as the next master of Huanhua Palace. No matter where he went, he ordered Su Shiyan to accompany him and serve at his side. He regarded her most highly. Shen Jingqi recalled the old palace master's blank-eyed, drooling appearance in the holy mausoleum and thought to himself, did he see her as a pearl in his palm, or a slab of meat for his exclusive use? Oh. Not a sound was heard in the hall of great strength, except for Master Wu Wang's resonant voice. One day, the old palace master and Su Shiyan accepted a request to subdue a monstrous beast. On the way back to the palace, they passed through an old city at the lower reaches of the Lower River. Demons and monsters were on a rampage, and a few survivors remained in the surrounding cities. But while investigating, Su Shiyan met a young man traveling alone. The young man had a unique presence, and his features and color of his skin were extraordinary. He sat below a draping willow, playing and singing a song. Such a character should not have appeared in such a location at such a time, and Su Shiyan immediately sensed something strange. After exchanging a few questions, she became certain this person was peculiar, that he was definitely no common sort. Shen Jingqi was engrossed by the tale. So Tiannan Jun really had been a youth of literature who loved the human world's poems, songs, and prose since he was young. And what was the most terrifying variety of such youths? The kind that was both cultured and handsome. The following script was very easy to predict. As long as his singing wasn't too much of a letdown, love at first sight was definitely at hand. The way Shen Jingqi is just out here predicting the plot. Who knew that the plot would take an abrupt turn for the worst, slapping him right across the face. Su Shiyan immediately reported this to her Shizun. The old palace master was more alarmed the more he thought about it. As the youth showed interest in Su Shiyan, conversation came easily to them, so the old palace master decided to meet like with like. He commanded her to approach the youth and investigate his background. Su Shiyan was quite adept at this, and she easily discovered that this man was the leader of the demon nobility, the one who had united both the northern and southern territories, Tianmanjun. Shen Jingque had thought it would be a boy meets girl, girl meets boy. He never imagined it would be a fantasy, infernal affairs. Oh my word. It wasn't the overused trope of talk, dark, and deadly demonic saintly ruler meets pure and charming little white flower. It was actually a pure and naive ruler who doesn't know the treachery of the human heart, steps out into the world for the first time, and meets the pillar of a righteous sect, a cool and calculating overlord of a flower with a dark side. I would honestly be more keen to read that, were that the main story, than I would be with the original thing that Shen Qingque thought was the way it was going. Um, Shen Qingque finally understood what meaning underlay Tianlanjin's wry tone when he'd spoken of Su Shiyan, the half-mocking, half-adoring, cold and heartless. As the old palace master, had Su Shiyan maintained her rapport with Tianlanjin, he also sent people to follow and observe them in secret. But the disciples he sent always lost them, so the old palace master could only take the field himself. Finally, his efforts bore fruit, and he discovered Tianlanjin's motive for wandering the human realm. For one day, Sushiyan and Tianlanjin met on Bailu Mountain. There they sat shoulder to shoulder atop the head of a giant green snake, speaking in low voices. I can't believe Zhujiang made an appearance here. If Shen Qingque hadn't guessed wrong that giant green snake was Zhujiang, it could only be Zhujiang. Whether as a nephew or as a subordinate, being taken along on a date as a cushion was really the most pitiful thing. Stop making me feel bad for this man, okay? I don't know how to feel about him, or demon. Afraid to alarm Tianlanjin, the old palace master stopped a distance away, but he faintly overheard their words. Su Shiyan patiently guided the conversation, probing from all sorts of oblique directions, before she finally got Tianlanjin to forget himself for a moment and unintentionally reveal why he had infiltrated the human world. He would bathe the cultivation world in blood and pillage the hidden treasures kept by each sect to bold the demon race's might. I don't know if I trust that. Like, I know that's what he wants to do now, but we have to bear in mind the fact that the old palace master was clearly infatuated with Sushiyan. I don't want to say in love because I don't necessarily think that that kind of obsession can be love, but he definitely had some kind of obsession with Sushiyan. So I could totally believe him hearing Tianlanjin confessing his feelings to Sushiyan and getting like super angry about it and deciding that he was gonna turn the entire cultivation world against Tianlanjin in order to separate the two of them. Now, whether or not that's actually the case, I guess, is up for debate. But yeah, I'm not saying that he's now still that kind of a person, but I could see that potentially being the case. MXTX nicely reworks the tropes, including general tropes. Yeah, no, that is very true. Um, mm, where was I now? Okay. Uh, when the last part was spoken, a tiny chorus of inhales sounded from the crowd, But Shen Qingque did a spit take. To be frank, this kind of content, which followed the standard logic of a final boss, just didn't fit Tianlanjun's style. No matter how Shen Qingque thought about it, that guy didn't seem very much like the sort of character who'd speak such haughty lines of conquest and wild ambition. In addition, as their supreme ruler, Tianlanjun would enter the demon race's holy mausoleum whenever he wished. That place contained more treasures than one could ever take, let alone use. If he was bored, he would even set up a booth and play ring toss for fun. Did they really think he would care about the handful of hidden treasures possessed by the four major sects? Mm-hmm. In Shen Qingque's opinion, the account was full of red flags, but Master Wu Wang continued his account in a flat tone. After obtaining this information, the old palace master immediately informed all the great sects in secret. Tianlanjun and Sushiyan met at Bailu Mountain 2 times a month, so the sects decided they would join together to besiege Tianlanjun on the date of their next meeting. As for the rest, that was the Battle of Bailu Mountain. The event of that day would be best told by sect leader Yue, who participated in the fight. Liu Qinyan nodded. In truth, there was not much to be said about the battle that day. Tianlanjun never expected that he would be met not by Sushiyan, but a full assault. He only brought one of the demon generals under his command, this one called Zhujilang. After being surrounded, he was defeated and captured. Yeah, the fact that that was that easy is alarming because, again, not only do I think that there's more to the story, but also it kind of implies that that was a kind of a lucky shot and probably they're not going to have another one like that. If so, their side had won by the unfair advantage of numbers, but Yu Qingyan gave an honest account and neither hid nor embellished the sequence of events. That's good at least. However, many present had grown up listening to their sect's seniors brag about the Battle of Bailu Mountain, so they were hearing the true version for the first time. Some felt awkward and some very angry. Yu Qingyan said, in order to protect his master, Zhujilang was struck head-on by Ma Shizun's spiritual artifact and transformed back into his original shape. He fled as a half-snake. Meanwhile, Tianlangjun was sealed beneath Bailu Mountain. So Zhujilang had been blasted into the snake man form he'd worn in the Blue Mushroom Cave by a bolt of heavenly lightning from the hand of the previous Chongding Peak Lord. With his black and white sense of gratitude and grievances, along with his need to repay every slight, before Shen Qingque could continue thinking about it, the system beeped with a notification. I swear I'm gonna start getting like fear, moments of fear running through me every time they mention the system beeping. Quest issued. Please help Luobinghe complete the Zhaohua Monastery scenario. Objective: raise righteous image points by at least 200. Great. Righteous image points? Shen Qingque had a flash of realization. He finally remembered what plot points occurred at Zhaohua Monastery. To explain this, one must mention Xiaohua Ling's dad, Chuo Chong Jun. After this unfortunate demon noble had been screwed out of his territory by his own treacherous daughter, he wandered about the southern borders for some time and gathered a crowd of rabble, hoping to stage a return to power and take a revenge on Luobinghe. But as he was going up against the protagonist's diamond heart halo, he could forget about accomplishing either one of these beautiful dreams within this lifetime. Zhu Chongjun's plans failed again and again, so of course he grew frustrated. And what would he do with this frustration? Find someone else to vent it on, of course. So he decided to make Zhaohua Monastery this someone else. Placed next to Xiaohua Ling's initial attack on Chongding Peak, these actions were curiously similar in essence, despite the different perpetrators. It was the same naive arrogance, the same method of digging their graves. Xinyan had roasted it back when he was reading. No wonder they were father and daughter. Their trains of thought careened off on the same weird tracks. That was quite a funny way to put it, though. In the original work, because Chu Chong-jun sent a bunch of miscellaneous fighters to harass the civilians and monks in Zhaohua Monastery's vicinity, Zhaohua Monastery held a conference not to deal with Tianlanjun, but to clean up these annoying and dispossessed demons clamoring for attention. But the reason for the conference wasn't important. The important part was that Zhaohua Monastery was indeed an opportunity for luring her to farm righteous image points. In the original, Chu Zhongjun's demon underlings infiltrated the human crowd and found every opportunity to cause trouble, wanting to stick it to the bold donkeys, their words. But they had barely a few seconds for mischief before they were beautifully and unconditionally subjugated by loving her. With such developments, the current loving her would of course With such a development, the current loving her would of course be able to gain some righteous image points. At least he could go from beyond redemption to neither black nor white. Chen Jingqu discreetly glanced around. Sure enough, he discovered a few people within the crowd whose expressions weren't quite right. Very good. The props were ready to take their places. The three beautiful Taoist nuns had originally been important characters in this section. With the collaborative efforts from Lobingher's harem in the original story, the efficiency of his righteous image forming had, of course, been even higher. But now they had totally become bystanders in the crowd. It is very interesting how that has turned, how the turntables have turned. In conclusion, so the female lead's roles was going to Shen Qingqu again, huh? Finally, you're starting to understand. I'm proud of you. In that dream, Tianlanjun used a recrafted body to slaughter his way through the human realm, plunging all who lived into utter misery, Wu Wang said severely. This old monk believes that was his threat to us, an omen of his revenge for the Battle of Bailu Mountain. But Tianlanjun's original body has already been destroyed, someone said. Even if he wants revenge, he shouldn't be anything to fear, right? You would think. You mustn't underestimate Tianlanjun, said Wu Wang. The demon race recognizes him as the strongest heir of the heavenly demon bloodline, with no equal across all past generations. In addition, his subordinates include not only his capable and loyal general Zhujiang, who has already recovered his body, but a son. Oh goodness, I'm worried. Shocked and horrified, everyone began whispering into one another's ears. So Xiang actually had a son with him? Who is it? Wasn't she ordered to only feign cordiality towards Tianlanjun? How could this be? Some individuals had found another, more particular points of focus and were considering the question of reproductive compatibility. Oh my word, why is that so legit? Like, that is so true. There will always be that random person wondering about that in the midst of something very serious. Can humans and demons really have children? We look about the same, so it's probably possible. Sushi Yan may have approached Tiananjun in the name of her master, said Wu Wang. But how could she successfully win his trust without using herself as bait? This one believes that she was originally capable of maintaining clear boundaries. However, demons are adept in the art of bewitching human hearts, and a perfect defense against such things is impossible. One small slip, One moment of carelessness, and she fell into the demon's trap. A single false step became a lifetime worth of regret. Oh, I don't like that because imagine if, like, those words and then loving her, realizing that he is the product of those words. Like, he is the lifetime worth of regret for his mother. I don't like that. Oh no. Okay. Sorry, I thought there was a message. Okay. By the time we'd conceived the campaign, she must already have been pregnant. As for the child, you all are intimately familiar with him. He is the one who we just spoke of, the impostor in Huanhua Palace, the cuckoo who roosts in the warbler's nest, luring her. Technically, that's his birthright then. If we're gonna be very technical about it, he's not an impostor. As soon as Wu Wang said this, the whispers in the hall immediately surged like a tide, building into a towering wave. Chen Qingqiu couldn't help himself and stealthily glanced at Luo Binghe. In the beginning, Luo Binghe had even been in the mood to joke around, content to stand and listen, but the more he heard, the more severe he became. Now his smile faded entirely, and there was a pallor to his face, yet his eyes were frigid, colder than a blizzard-choked wasteland. Liu Qingyan's knuckles slowly brushed along Xuan Shu's hilt. I was able to meet Senior Su Shiyan once at an Immortal Alliance conference many years ago. Norbingher's appearance is 7/10 identical to his mother's. At first I, too, thought it was only a coincidence, as many people in the world look alike. However, since he's half heavenly demon by blood, it's difficult to take it as a mere happenstance. The man from Baching, I keep saying Baching instead of Bachi sect interrupted again. If it was done against her will, then we can't blame her. But since she must have known the child was a demon, why give birth to him at all? 'Cause maybe she didn't want to murder her child? Did you think of that? Others immediately followed up. That's right, if Sushiyan hadn't given birth to him, how could there be a loving her? Why didn't she abort that evil fetus? 'Cause it's her body, not yours. Okay, let me not get heated. I just, it just rubs me the wrong way, the way they're so callous about someone else's child. Like, it's her choice, you know? Anyway. Um, how horrifically shameful. Really too shameful. No wonder I've never heard mentioned the name Sushi Yan before. Naturally, a scandal of this magnitude would be covered up and concealed. If someone from our sect committed the same sin, we'd commit suicide on the spot. How else would we face our master? Yeah, sure. Totally, yeah. Shame the woman you just said might have been raped. That makes total sense. That's not at all an awful thing to do. Upon hearing this, Master Wu Chun looked like he had something to say, but he only lightly shook his head. Originally, this matter concerned a woman's reputation, and moreover, benefactor Su had already passed away. He said at last, "If not for the extraordinary circumstances of the present, these events would never have been revealed. They simply cannot be hidden any longer. A demon's blood is powerful and potent, and a mother's life is intertwined with that of her fetuses. An abortion at that point would have been highly dangerous." Okay, interesting. As a deeply proud person, Benefactor Sue couldn't accept this, and she was even less willing to tolerate the dubious looks of outsiders. So the old palace master brewed her a drug that was harmful to demons. After drinking it, she left Panhua Palace, and from then on, no one knew what became of her. That's interesting because he did live with his mother, though, or did he live with like a adopted mother? I'm struggling to remember now. My Lord Buddha is merciful. This one asks everyone to abstain from harsh words and the karma they bring. Thank you, dude. At least you have some sense of decency. We'll see how long it lasts. Lobingho's face was devoid of expression, but his fingers unconsciously clenched and relaxed several times. Near where he and Shen Qingqiu were standing, someone said, refusing to acknowledge the lover she'd had relations with, and utterly merciless to her own flesh and blood. What a cold-hearted yet truly incredible woman. Can you guys make up your mind on whether or not you appreciate what she's done or are condemning her for it? Indeed, if only her fortune had been slightly better and she hadn't fallen under the fiend's spell. With such a profound accomplishment and promising future, she would have become an extraordinary person of great renown by now. No matter how profound her accomplishment, she coupled with a demon and conceived such a monster. Oh, this is a lot more difficult than I was expecting. The mere thought is disgusting. I wouldn't want this kind of accomplishment even if it were offered to me on a platter. I fear Sushi Yan also felt too ashamed to face anyone. That's why she left her sect and renounced her apprenticeship. Suddenly, the man from Ba Chi's sect said, "This means that from beginning to end, the campaign against Tianlanjin was driven by neither evidence nor incident. It was all based on a couple of things the old palace master said about the fellow." You actually have a brain. I'm so proud of at least one of you. Okay, sorry. It was said, washerwoman with his adoptive. Okay, yeah, because I was like, I remember there being a river, which is why he was named Bing He. Um, but I was like, I also remembered the fact that, he brought the soup to his mother, but she was already dead. And I was like, was that his adoptive mother? Okay, anyway. So the answer is yes. Okay, the main hall instantly fell silent, devoid of a single titter. As if completely unaware, the man continued, "I'm only asking you can just listen or not, huh? However, do you really feel that you were in the right launching that kind of campaign based only on the old palace master's side of the story? Why do I feel that from start to end, Tianlang Jun did only one thing, which was to be tricked by his lover? You even made the young woman approach a dangerous person from a foreign race and ordered her to trick him. Then you forced her to abort her child via poison and in the end made her leave her sect heavy with regrets. I don't find this at all commendable." Ooh, I'm actually starting to like this character, okay. I don't find this at all commendable. Our Bachi sect has never behaved in such a manner, and we would never encourage it. With this remark, a slightly unexpected surprise bloomed within Shen Qingqiu. Given how tone-deaf this good brother had always been, he really wouldn't have guessed that this time the man would actually manage to say something so reasonable in his tone-deafness. It seemed his IQ was a notch or two higher than the average side characters. And I'm actually really excited about that. I hope he doesn't die. It was Wu Wang who broke this short period of silence, his white eyebrows furrowed. Then he pressed his palms together and rebuked the man. These words are beyond foolish. Since ancient times, the demons' invasions into the massacres. Invasions into and massacres within the human realm have gone on unceasingly. Should we have waited for Tianlanjun to legitimately start butchering us to no regret? Once it was too late. Besides, as a leader in charge of one of the four major sects, how would the old palace master benefit from maliciously deceiving the cultivation world? Moreover, the existence of a seed of evil born of relations with a demon is even less permissible. What's detestable is the sheer power of that fiend's life force, to the point that even taking that drug wasn't enough to destroy the fetus. Yeesh, but these people have like terrible bedside manners. But also, I'm just like, it's interesting because it's not as if MXTX hasn't done this before, which I think is why I'm more prone to maybe notice it now than I might have been if this was the first of her works that I was reading. But it almost seems like the old version of Tianlanjun and Xiang, in a sense, are a parallel to Luo Binghe and Shen Qingque of right now. So that is like, again, because there was so much judgment placed on Luo Binghe and just kind of this expectation that he obviously had to be this specific way because of his heritage. Okay. Wu Wang spoke these words with an overflowing righteousness, and applause and exclamations of approval instantly followed. Master Wu Chen wore an expression like he couldn't bear to listen. He brought his palms together and began chanting sutras. It wasn't that no one found the idea cruel, but after hearing Wu Wang's speech, the crowd was deeply affected and invigorated by the mood, and so their thoughts changed. The fetus was loving her, after all. What was there to sympathize with? And so they too began to cheer and applaud. Loving her's lashes lowered. It was impossible to tell if he was listening or if his mind was wandering. The past few days, the figure he cut had gradually thawed. Now it froze over once more, a new layer of frost crystallizing on top. At present, people within, all of great strength, were gnashing their teeth over his miraculous survival, while cheering for his hypothetical death as a fetus. Yet Luobinghe acted like he couldn't hear a single thing. I wish Shen Qingque could support him in some way. If the plotline had unfolded in an identical manner, the progression here should have been like this. The sect leaders solemnly discuss how to deal with Tianlanjun. Suddenly demons aiming to cause chaos appear. Luobinghe single-handedly takes care of the demons lurking, farming righteous image points and favor. But because a bunch of gossipy hens had talked and talked, Luobinghe's backstory had been dug up. This had caused the focus of the narratives to deviate from the original. That is very interesting. Shen Qingque watched the silent Luobinghe. Suddenly he was struck with regret. He should never have taken this Zhaohua monastery quest. Master Wu Chen said, aside, "Must you put it that way? Benefactor Su, Benefactor Su." As she was a lone woman wandering about the outside world, the old palace master sent many to search for her fruitlessly for years. No one knew how much suffering she endured before the end, and though Luobinghe is half heavenly demon by blood, previously he too never caused any unspeakable harm or evil. Don't confuse yourself over who deserves kindness, Shidi, said Wu Wang. Recall the extent of what they forced you to endure at the Jinlan Sea, and you will understand just how sinister and evil a demon's intentions can be. When dealing with demons, you must extinguish them from the before the sprout takes root. That is the correct strategy. The father and son have conspired against us for a long time already. They've joined hands for their return in a vain attempt to destroy us. Indulging them isn't kindness, but a woman's foolish softness. It will only result in horrors beyond what unfolded in the dream realm. This Wu Wang's cultivation might have been pretty good, but he really had too much pent-up anger. Other than his lack of hair, there wasn't much Buddha in him at all. Wow. Not Shinjinchu throwing the shade. Rather than taking up a staff and becoming an abbot, he should have taken up an axe and become Li Kuei. By contrast, Wu Chen's martial abilities were only so-so, but he was gentle and kind, so he was even more deserving of the title of master. Even after the scolding, his expression didn't change, much less his tune. Joined hands to conspire, but such a thing might not be the case. The two abbots from Jiaohua Monastery squabbled over this without any breakthroughs until Ye Qingyan interrupted them. Regardless of whether they joined hands, one point is absolute. I'm afraid Luo Binghe is no good news. He raised his voice. Qingqie, are you still lurking? The hair on Shen Qingqie's back stood up, and he dithered for a few seconds. Only then did he slowly walk forward. He felt like a grade schooler who the teacher had called on for a reprimand, and the underside of his face prickled faintly. Luckily, he was quite thick-skinned and shameless, maintaining perfect poise as he bowed. Jiangmen Shishong. Now that the focus was on him, the person beside him was even more impossible to conceal. Luo Binghe, someone immediately called out in shock. It's Luo Binghe. It really is him. When did he manage to get in? Shen Jingqie is here too. He really isn't dead? Back at Huayu City, I saw himself detonate with my own eyes. The majority of the exclamations had the tone of those who'd seen an evil spirit, yet mixed in with them were the delicate voices of several women. These belonged to the three beautiful nuns from Tianyi's temple, who clutched each other's arms, their faces suffused with an unnatural flush. The strange part was that some of the flushing seemed to be directed at Shen Jingqie. Shen Jingqie is just stealing all the hearts, like gay, straight, it doesn't matter, just stealing all the hearts. Remaining seated, Ye Qingyan looked at him. A lot of nonsense you've stirred up these days, he said mildly. Are you done? Ye Qingyan had never assumed such a severe attitude when speaking to him before, even going so far as to use the words like nonsense. This was already the equivalent of a flogging. It seemed that Liu Qingge had bad-mouthed him quite thoroughly. Oh goodness. Shen Qingqie swore that one day he'd steal Qing Lian and use it to chop all the pork in all the kitchens of the 12 peaks. He'd chop until the oily sheen smothered all its sword glares. Get the plot back on track. Let's get it back on track, okay? Can you guys please direct your attention to the demons hiding within the temple? How are we supposed to farm righteous image points like this? Shen Qingqie was about to meddle a little and draw everyone's attention to the lurkers' suspicious forms. Currently, they were disguised as disciples from a miscellaneous sects when Wu Wang viciously slammed his staff against the ground. Luo Binghe, to think you deliver yourself to our doorstep, he said with a sneer. This simplifies matters. Why not say it outright? Okay, but like, if he's that vicious person that you guys are claiming him to be, number one, why would he be there? Number two, why would he stand for the bad mouthing that you guys have done? Number three, if he wanted to just lurk around for information gathering purposes, why would he wear his own face or be there himself? Oh goodness. Um, where are we? This simplifies matters. Why not say it outright? When does Tianlanjun intend to commit the deeds he performed within the dream realm? What do the things he wants to do have to do with me? Lobinger asked coldly. Someone else grunted. The two of you are father and son, and you asked what this has to do with you? Lobinger was indifferent. He's not my father. A mountain of ironclad evidence sits before you, and still you deny it? Do you take everyone here for toddlers? Said Wu Wang. Lobinger shook his head. It was unclear what he was stubbornly clinging to, but he repeated, "He's not my father." Wu Wang humphed. Truly, good never lasts long, while curses and calamities are undying. If only Su Shiyan had gotten rid of you back then, things would have been perfect. Wow, this man is a real scumbag. These words were truly too vicious. Lobinger breathed. Lobinger's breathing seemed to stop for a moment, and a blood-red light flashed faintly within his eyes. Shen Qingque couldn't afford to give it more thought. He immediately grabbed his hand. Liu Qingge was standing behind Yu Qingyan with his arms crossed. When he saw Shen Qingque move to hold Lobinger's hand in full view of the crowd, a vein popped out on his forehead. "Hey!" Whenever Liu Qingge was enraged but also unwilling to say more, his go-to expression was always a fierce, aggressive "hey." However, it was completely impotent as a deterrent, so Shen Qingque simply ignored it. Robbing her having an episode in this kind of situation wouldn't be fun at all. It wasn't only an issue of whether he would be able to farm favor. The main problem lay in this Jiaohua monastery subplot being highly difficult to brute force one's way through. If one used spiritual energy, one would be putting their power against hundreds of others. If one used demonic qi, one would be facing Jiaohua Monastery, whose barrier adepts were as numerous as the clouds in the sky. Sealing demons was their speciality. Moreover, attempting to brute force solutions meant falling to an IQ on par with Team Xia Hualing and her father. Not Shen Qingque, just being ruthless this chapter. I'm living for it though. "Who is the Su Shiyan?" Lobinger asked coldly. "My mother was a mere washerwoman." Wu Wang's report isn't the whole story, and you know very well the kind of person the old palace master was, Shen Qingque said quietly. The tone he used was that of someone instructing his disciple, doing his best to remain calm and objective. When it comes to these old affairs, those two might well have embellished the tale, and their trustworthiness is suspect, so wipe them clear from your mind. Lobinger clutched his arm. "Shizun, Tianlangjun isn't my father." His words sounded like both a plea and a declaration. "I don't need a father." Shen Qingque didn't know what to say. He only squeezed Lobinger's hand tighter, hinting that he ought to compose himself first. Originally, Lobinger's backstory hadn't been exposed in such detail, so Shen Qingque had been unable to judge how deeply this would strike him. He feared it wasn't something a few comforting lines and a couple of head pats could resolve. Yeah, no. The faint hopes and dreams Lobinger had held in his heart for many years had been mercilessly pulverized and so into so much dust. Neither father nor son were willing to act the part. Being a pure-blooded demon, Tianlangjun was already indifferent to the concept of parental bonds. After his suffering at the hands of Su Shiyan and other humans, his hatred had extended even to Lobinger. He refused to speak a single word of their relationship and had been utterly ruthless back in the Holy Mausoleum. On top of that, Su Xiang's decisions with regard to her son and his father painted an even clearer picture. Deception, expectation, disgust, rejection, treating them as her shame, abandonment. To his parents, loving her was an unwanted child. Wu Wang frowned. To think you would have the gall to say such words, as expected of a demon. Loving her turned a deaf ear to him. If he was my father, why didn't he bring it up earlier? Why not tell me? The most Tianlan Jun had said was that single line he offered while beating up Loving her, devoid of either praise or criticism. He looks like his mother. He looks like his mother. What of it? Okay, I'm gonna end it here for tonight because we are past 11. I am kind of struggling to keep my eyes open a little bit and my voice is dying. So yeah, we ended off at the top of page 188. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and otherwise I'll see you guys again on Tuesday for the next read along. I'm thinking, if all goes well, we should be finishing this off by the end of February, and then probably we're gonna go to more do, but I'm not 100% on that yet. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. 再见。